I'm pleased to have on the Rich Eisen Show right now the owner and president of the Arizona Cardinals. He doesn't do this sort of stuff very often. Michael Bidwill joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. How have you been, sir?
Very well. Good morning. How are you, Rich?
I am fine, and as you know, you have a role in my expanding of the Rich Eisen brand, Michael. You know that, right? You remember this?
What's that?
When I had my book tour for my book that sold about 5 copies back in 2007.
I bought one.
You did. You did, but you also offered to put it in your team stores. You also showed up at a book signing somewhere in the Valley of the Sun. You're a good man, and I appreciate that.
You're welcome, Rich. Happy to help.
And congratulations on so far. I know that there's a lot of football to be played, but the fact that you're celebrating a 100th game for your team with all of them sellouts in a season in which you're leading a division at 7-2 and everybody else is sub 500, things have clearly turned around for your franchise. And I'm wondering what your sense is on that front.
Well, I'm excited. Everybody's excited. And back to not picking Cardinals. I don't want you to pick any Cardinals until you have confirmed that you've exercised those demons. Because last year, 11-5, but we're limping into the playoffs with all these injuries, especially with Carson Palmer, and then after that, Drew Stanton going down at quarterback.
Yes.
We're going to need Carson all the way. We're going to need to stay healthy, and we're also going to need our reserves in case there are injuries to step in and be ready to go. But we couldn't be more excited about where we are. But as you said earlier, there's a lot more work to be done, and we've got to continue to step up. The most important game is Sunday night.
Yeah. And so what about this stadium are you most proud of, Michael?
Well, it's been the cornerstone for our success. In the 18 years we were at Sun Devil Stadium, we only sold out that stadium 12 years. A lot of cynics and critics thought that we wouldn't sell out even one game at University of Phoenix Stadium. But instead, what we've done is we've sold out 100 games. We've hosted playoff games. We won an NFC championship there. We've hosted 2 Super Bowls. We're going to have our second college football championship game there in January. We've got the Final Four coming. This stadium has been, for the Cardinals, a cornerstone in building the franchise to where it is today. And for our community, it's just been an economic engine and a venue that has been written up as among the best in the National Football League. So we're excited about what it's meant to us. It's given us the Red Sea, our fan base, and I believe it's the best fan base out there. And you look at our statistics, no stadium has produced more false starts for visiting teams since 2006 than University of Phoenix Stadium. And we're excited what happens there.
Yeah, and because back in the day, it used to be because of all the folks who have moved to Phoenix and that community from all over the country, basically getting a chance to see their teams come in there because they could buy the tickets. I mean, that's the way it used to be right around there.
You're exactly right, 15, 20 years ago, but it's a completely different situation now. It is full of people wearing red jerseys, and it is loud. We have passionate fans. They get there early and tailgate out on our great lawn, and we make that place rock. And it's an intimidating place for visiting teams to come play.
Michael Bidwill, the Cardinals president and owner, joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. It certainly does help, however, to have a winning product to put that out there on the field. What did you see in Bruce Arians? Because the time was ticking down. You were one of the last teams to hire a coach in that coaching carousel portion of the calendar. What did you see in Bruce Arians that you said, that's our guy?
Well, we were the last team to hire, and I wanted to make sure that we made the right decision, not the fast decision. I saw 3 things. I saw leadership, I saw experience, and I saw a plan that I believed in. In the first couple of minutes of meeting Bruce Arians, you can size him up very quickly. He's a leader. His experience, and he's got broad experience with different quarterbacks, different systems, different personnel, and he's had success pretty much every place he's gone. And you could see that he was going to be a great head coach if somebody just gave him the opportunity. And then the plan he had, when we got into the formal interview and he laid out the whole plan and we talked about things, I just knew that we had somebody really special. And I was excited to ask him to be our head coach.
And what's your philosophy? I know you hired Steve Keim within that same 10-day period as well. Your general manager is the reigning executive of the year right now. What's your philosophy? Because we see, let's put it this way, another owner that's somewhat down to the east of you, possibly a next-door neighbor if you don't include New Mexico, that runs a franchise with his fingerprints all over every decision, including player personnel. What is your philosophy, Michael?
Well, it's about hiring great people, giving them the resources to do their job, making sure everybody stays in their lane, and make sure I do my job, which is direction about, what we want to get, being aggressive, and making sure that we're running an organization that everybody can be proud of. And I think that's what we've done. And it's just not Steve is the reigning executive of the year from the Pro Football Writers, but Coach is the BA is the Coach of the Year from last year. So we've got two great people running their respective departments that work really well together, and things are really going great, especially if you look at the stadium and our fan base and what we're doing on the field. And that's why, Rich, earlier this year, it was right around the Super Bowl, even though they were just entering, we had just finished the second year of their contracts, I gave both of those guys extensions and pay raises because I believed what they were doing, they needed to be rewarded for the great job that Steve and BA were doing.
Cardinals president and owner Michael Bidwill joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. Having somebody of your title, I'd like to ask you a couple of league questions.
Sure.
Starting with the fact that you talking about how your stadium has turned around the fortunes of your team and your franchise. You've got teams in the state of California right now, in San Diego and Oakland, who would love to have that opportunity within the state of California, and a team in St. Louis that apparently wants to move to California. What can you tell us about the status of the Los Angeles market as we're chatting right now?
Well, what I can tell you is that the NFL's got a process. We've got relocation guidelines, actually, that were passed, I think, about 15 years ago. And there's an L.A. committee that Commissioner Goodell has set up. And we've had multiple meetings to talk about the subject. In fact, we just had one last week in New York where we had each one of the cities come in and speak to the L.A. committee, the finance committee, and the stadium committee. I sit on the stadium committee. And we really appreciate those cities coming in to tell us about their perspective and their plans. And so there have been no applications that have been filed. There have been no decisions that have been made. But we need certainty to make sure these teams have new stadiums, especially, and it's just not the three teams and cities that you talked about, but there are other stadiums that need to happen around the league that, hopefully we'll continue to see those public-private partnerships coming together to build great stadiums. Because when you look at our experience, it's been great, not just for the Cardinals and our fans, but it's also been great for our community to be able to host Super Bowls and all these great events we've had. And those things, we're going to have a Super Bowl in a city that we've never had it before in the San Francisco area this year, here in a few months. We hope to be in that, by the way. Footnote there.
Yes.
But in any case, we're in this process, and I know that there are more meetings scheduled. And there's it's an ownership vote, so 32 teams, 32 votes, and we've got to have 24 votes to decide who's going where. And it's really important that we do this the right way. And so we're being very deliberate and thoughtful about this process.
Well, do you think by next year this is going to be done? But in 2016, we'll be calling another team the Los Angeles fill-in-the-blanks next year?
Well, I hope so. I mean, it seems like this is an important market for us. The issues are ripe, and we've got a process in place, and we've got two different sites that are under NFL control that haven't been, that hasn't been the case in the past. So I'm hoping that we can reach a decision and make the right decision as we move forward.
Michael Bidwill, the Cardinals president and owner here on the Rich Eisen Show. You are also the chairman of the conduct committee and helping helping retool in a way the player conduct rules. I just want to throw this open to you here, Michael. I speak to a lot of fans, and I've had people call this show outraged about Greg Hardy still playing in the NFL. And I've had people call me up saying that they're canceling packages because Greg Hardy still is playing in the NFL. How do you, as an owner and somebody who sits on this conduct committee, respond to fans who are outraged over the situation with Greg Hardy in Dallas?
Well, I focus them on the fact that the committee is not about issuing discipline or making personnel decisions. What it is about is we had a personal conduct policy that had really been unchanged for about 10 years and did not reflect the values of the NFL and reflect what needed to be going on with us. And so we updated that about a year ago. And what we've seen is a combination of the policy and training that we're doing for everybody in the league, is that we're seeing the incidence of arrests come down. I mean, they're down for the players about 37% so far, and we're seeing a positive impact. But it's not the role of the committee or for me to talk about specific cases. It's still a league office decision. We've got experts that we've hired to investigate and rule on disciplinary matters. And I also think it would be inappropriate for me to be commenting on, a player from another team that we compete with. And so I think the good news is we've got a policy that's in place that's strong. We've got training. All of our personnel, the players, everybody are responding to it in a very positive way. We're seeing an impact, and I also think that we're pushing the message down to colleges and to high school and youth players and to society in general that domestic violence, sexual assault are just unacceptable, and that we've got to do more, and we'll continue to do more as we move forward.
You're also a former prosecutor in a way. Do you think sometimes the NFL gets caught in this, in a manner where fans look to this league, you folks who are in power in this league, to go ahead and punish players in a manner that the criminal justice system didn't do enough for in their mind? Do you think the NFL's caught in that riptide in a way, for the lack of a better word?
Well, I don't want to drift back into, the Greg Hardy case, but I do think that it is an honor and a privilege for players to wear the uniform. And we need to understand, and players need to understand that, is that it's they can be taken off the field for their conduct, and there have been players, and that's part of the policy now, is that they can be removed. And so when I look at it, there was some frustration because we had, under the old model, and you're right, I was a federal prosecutor here in Phoenix for 6 years. We, in the past, waited for the criminal justice system to dole out their justice. We are no longer doing that. We can still implement discipline before the criminal justice system is finished. And so that's one of the key differences of our policy that we passed unanimously in 2014.
Michael, thank you for taking the time, for answering all of these questions, and I trust me. You know me. We've known each other for a while. You've seen how I conduct myself on NFL Network. I'm a responsible individual. I will not choose an Arizona Cardinal in my fantasy endeavors unless I am sure my house is clean. Okay?
Thank you, Rich.
Okay.
I've been sitting here saying a novena in the background, hoping that you would say that, and hoping that you can exorcise those evil spirits out of your fantasy.
Understand, I'm going to be as responsible as possible before I choose Carson Palmer this weekend. Okay, Michael?
Don't do it.
Thanks for calling in, and enjoy that 100th game and all of them beyond, Michael.
Thanks, Rich. Appreciate it.
That's
Take care.
Michael Bidwill, Cardinals president and owner.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.